Hello and welcome to the Insta Runners Roundup podcast. My name is Bob Burrow, and on today's episode we are going to be discussing all things East Lothian Marathon. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the route map there. We're going to be discussing all things Edinburgh Marathon. So helping me talk through EMF, we have Jace.
Hi.
We have Jimmy.
Hello.
We have Abe.
Hiya.
We have Mike.
Hi.
And we have a very special guest. We have an Edinburgh Marathon Ambassador, an experienced runner. I think that means she's old. We have a Jog Scotland leader in running fitness, which she uses for her This Woman Runs Renfrewshire group. My apologies, we've not actually been to that one, Emily. We'll need to nip down. Someone who can be found practicing yoga and carrying about one of those stupid oversized Stanley Cups. Everyone, welcome Emily in the outdoors, Emily Jackson.
Hey.
Oh,
Hey.
that could be the best intro ever. Are you available for funerals or just podcasts? Bob?
Funerals. Just let me know before you need me.
I'll try.
Well,
thank you very much for having me on.
Not a problem. Get somebody professional in with that.
We need it's all about the inclusivity. Is that the word that we need to use these days?
Yes. You know, the only person that ever gave us that is someone that's restricted on who comes to our running club, so I don't know.
This is true. Women only running club, men only podcast.
Oof.
That's my jam.
I'm sure you can handle it.
Aye. Right, so I'm going to start off a little bit of history about the Edinburgh Marathon. So the first Edinburgh Marathon was held in September 1982, starting in Holyrood Park and finishing in Meadowbank Stadium. But rumour has it, now don't come at me if these aren't true, this is off Wikipedia, okay? But rumour has it the winner of the first race returned the following year to the newly named Scotway Marathon to defend his crown. But in a busy start, he was wiped out, broke his hand and couldn't finish. It's a bit of a bummer, so be careful at the start, guys, on Sunday.
Vicious.
1984 and 1985, the race ran as the Edinburgh Waverley Market Marathon before renaming in 1986 as the Commonwealth Games People's Marathon. 1999, we had the Puma Edinburgh Marathon, which started from Dunfermline. I've tried to find the route for it, but I'm assuming it came across the Forth Road Bridge. So that's the only way I can start them.
I actually found a wee bit on this after I read your notes on it. That you were correct about going over the Forth Road Bridge. It actually looked quite good, to be honest.
I'm guessing it finished in Edinburgh. Never kind of bypassed Edinburgh, went all the way to Musselburgh. But we'll see. EMF, as we know it just now, was founded in 2003 and ran with a more city route until 2007 when the new route that takes in East Lothian was introduced. The current course record is 2:13:33 by Kenyan Cole Kiptoo in 2018. There's somebody that won't be breaking that record on Sunday is Earl Jimmy, because Earl Jimmy's not running it. So he's going to lead on this next section.
Yeah, so sticking with your history theme, given that all you guys have run it or about to run it, I think it's only right that we kind of delve a little bit into your history of the event. So I'm going to come to each of you, so have a wee minute to think. Emily, you all right with me coming to you first?
Oh, yes.
Ladies first. So
why not?
So if you could just kind of give us a wee overview of your EMF history, also a little bit about your ambassadorship. And for the likes of me who have like kind of absolutely no clue about that kind of stuff, how you got it and what it involves and what you've been doing for it, so that the 4 listeners we usually get, they'll be interested, but the hundreds that have actually flocked here to hear you this week, they'll be loving this. So
Not at all. Okay, so I feel like as a Scottish person, I should have done this marathon and this event more. But I don't know, I maybe it's a Glasgow or East-West thing. I always find going to Edinburgh such a hassle. And I think with the start times and stuff, it's always put me off a bit. So my very first time was in 2022. and it sort of came about by accident. So I've always loved the t-shirt. I should have worn it today. That is a rookie mistake.
That is definitely going to get made a reel. It's 100% that's going to be a reel in the next couple of days.
Could somebody like, blue screen, green screen, blue screen, what the hell am I saying? Put one of these t-shirts on me. So yeah, I got the place because I was doing the Ultra X up in Inverness, the 50k, and I was doing it with a group, and one of the girls was pregnant, and so she had pulled out of the Ultra, but she'd also entered Edinburgh Marathon, and she was like, you're Scottish, because they're all English, I should start with that. She went, you're there, why don't you just take my place? So we transferred it, and I went, and I thought, I'm just going to go and have a good time. And I did. I had a great time. I think because I wasn't really thinking about running a marathon. So I went along the day with my hydration pack and just loved it. But it was a really long day out because it starts at 10, but I had to get through there really early because I used the buses and stuff. And it was a pretty long day out, but I loved it. I thought it was a great race. I was quite happy for having my hydration vest on, I have to say, because it was another hot day, which it always seems to be in Edinburgh on that weekend. So that was that year, and then the following year in 2023 I didn't enter, but we went through because there was, at this point in time, I had made a lot of friends in that, like the Press Play and Run community and Instagram and stuff, and there's loads of people running, and I thought, why not go through and support? Made my little signs, and we went along to Port Seaton, and it's great. I mean, that's one thing I would say about that route is there's lots of lovely places to go and stand and support, and you can actually see people. Like, we were able to, like, some of them were stopping. We had like gels and sweets and things if they wanted them, but it was like the best experience for that. And then this year I'm doing the half marathon, and I was chosen to be an ambassador like September last year. So it was just an application process where they were looking for people. I just submitted my name, and then strangely they wanted me to send them a video of a day in the life of me. And I think a lot of it was like housework and chasing the kids about. So for some reason they liked what they saw, and I was picked. But their ambassadorship is it's quite laid back. And I think, Bob, you've done it before. So it's like you get their entry, so you can choose what race you want to do. You get your entry, you get like the gold package, so you get like a jacket and things like that as well. But it's very loose in terms of they just want you to post. They would just want you to like reference the marathon, or the marathon festival, sorry. And if there's any like events looking to sell out, or they're trying to promote them, like the 5 and the 10Ks, they just asked us to share them, but very laid back. And to be honest, I mean, they're all lovely, but nobody ever reshares my posts. So, Edinburgh Marathon Festival, don't listen to this. But yeah, so that was me.
Emily, see on the ambassadorship, do you think it could be so much more?
Oh, hugely. Like, I think you had talked about before about doing like reels on the route or like some information on the Edinburgh Marathon. Like, I didn't know any of that history that you just said. So I think there's definitely something to be captured there. But also, I don't really know that many of the other ambassadors, as in I could name you who they are, because I don't feel like they share it that much. And I also they've not arranged anything for the day. Not saying that they should, but you think it would be nice to see like a bit of a, like, can you send us things about how the race goes so we could do like a highlights reel or anything? There's a bit of a disconnect there.
It seems to me that they don't do the things that you could call quick wins or easy very well. It doesn't seem like it take them much effort to prompt people to do a bit more by bringing these kind of, as you're saying, together, and coming up with, I don't know if they've came up with ideas for you guys and say to you, can you, if you're doing an ambassadorship or a collaboration that somebody sends you, you get a wee list of what they would like you to do and help them out with. But it doesn't seem to be across the board. There's the same things that they're asking people to do on the same dates, or close at the time, or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's unpaid, so it's not like you're having to like fulfill anything. But when I was an ambassador for the Yorkshire Marathon last year, and again, that was very loose of, they just want you to post maybe monthly, but they were very like, I would hear from the organizer quite a lot directly. They maybe did a newsletter, so they'd ask me a couple of questions to put in the email. For there was maybe like 2 or 3 of us. So I just think they could do a bit more for it. I mean, it obviously sells out great, so I don't really. It's one of those ones, because I feel like this is like a slam on Edinburgh. I don't mean this, but
No, not.
they might not even need the ambassadors to a point. It sells out,
Because
you know.
It almost
so-
feels a bit more like a tick box exercise than
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because I've obviously seen your videos when you were in London and stuff with Cooper and stuff, and just stuff like that's interesting for people watching. Like if you've got other ambassadors running with their phones and speaking to people and posting lives and getting videos. I get some ambassadors might be there for like they want a time and they want to do what everybody else does, but there's bound to be a few that are there just for a good time and you know what I mean, a run.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody wants.
Like-
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if I ran a race that I had never done before, you know, now you kind of go to social media and find somebody that's done it and see what the route was like, what the atmosphere was like, and actually seeing videos on a route are like even more interesting. I get that sometimes it's your A race and you're not taking your phone out to check, you know, you can get your 0.5 video done, but it's one of those things where it could be somebody that they actually get in touch with and say, could you run this and actually film really interesting content, talk to people that are doing it for charity or things like that. They're totally missing a trick to make it much more of a community marathon than this big city marathon, which, you know,
I think you're bang on as well what you're saying about them. They sell out, so they might not need it. But I don't know if the 5 and the 10K have sold out. And if you had a lot more people that were looking to get into running, might be the ones that go and look and see, oh, how does that festival look? And it's a gateway into doing the half marathons and the marathon. Well, it certainly was for me anyway. So
Yeah.
I think if they're not selling them out, I think they could potentially be looking at, you know, putting a bit more effort into them, because obviously the half and the full sell out well in advance this year. But I mean, the 5 and the 10 are still they're still good events, and they're well organised as well. But again, I just don't think they put the thought into it sometimes that they could to make it a bit better. They just are kind of settling for the events that are putting on, which aren't bad events, but they could be better as well. What I was saying.
Because I know nothing about this event at all. So this is like a lesson for me. Like never looked into it. Signed up for it once and then ended up not even going to do it like a couple of years ago. Like, so I didn't even know the route, like nothing. So like you said, going into social media and seeing videos and seeing people on it and seeing reactions of people doing it and where they are and stuff's far better than just looking at a map or a guy that posts up somebody like Eddie. Oh, I done it in 2 hours 50 or whatever it is, 3 hours 50 odd minutes. Like those kind of the videos of them on course are better.
Yeah, there's lots of logistical things with the Edinburgh Marathon Festival on the day because of the start times. There's lots of road closures, and they do put a lot of information on their like that entry site. But there's a lot of places that like Facebook is really popular for that. There's an Edinburgh Marathon half marathon group, and people share their information. Like, how do I get from here to there? Because events that start and finish in different places are logistical nightmares for people, and you know, actually that first-hand experience or just like somebody talking it through is so much more useful than trying to read like big kind of PDFs online to try and work out. Because if you don't know the area, you do not know the area. Like that's just, it's easy for an Edinburgh person to go, oh, it's fine, it's here to here. I don't know.
I put up a post last week, and I was actually shocked at the response that I got in my DMs and on the question box from people, especially over the West. I didn't realise how difficult people find it to get into Edinburgh, but obviously it's my bread and butter, so I'm used to knowing the best way to get people in, especially on days like this where the road closures are there. And when you read a road closure document, I understand where that is, rather than it just being street names to people. So I think that's probably a great idea in terms of them using ambassadors or even people with experience to maybe explain that better and in more detail rather than just reading a document. I think the entry packs are brilliant, by the way, the information that's on them, but it's just maybe not suitable to people who aren't from Edinburgh as such.
Like Jimmy was saying, see with even though it sells out, I don't think that Instagram and Facebook sell the Edinburgh Marathon really well. Like even me, my last year was my first year running it. I didn't even know what the route was. Even the aftermath, Jace, like after the marathon, we sat in that field and it was amazing. You didn't see any footage like that online, and that's something maybe we should look at for next year because it'll get people excited for it, I think.
Especially, it was a nice day yesterday.
Yeah.
They could have had anything happening at the end of that. Even you look at, I'll give you that John Muir Way Nocturnal Ultra. You look at the minute clip that they used in the sunset. They absolutely hammered that with a minute's worth of a clip just on the visual aspect of it, and that'll sell a lot based on just how people think that's going to look again. There's no guarantee that's going to happen.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Right. Aye. Thanks for that. Right, Jace, we'll move on to you now, mate. If you can give us a little bit about your history with this.
So my history, I first done the 10K. It was for charity for Macmillan. I done it in 2017 and 2018, and both these times were about 106, 105. Didn't train for them. I was still playing football at the time, but I was kind of getting towards the end of playing football, and I didn't wear a watch. I didn't wear a pair of running shoes. It was a pair of skateboarding shoes one year and a pair of tennis shoes the next. So that shows you my level of interest compared to what it is now in running. Changed days. These shoes probably cost me 30 quid, whereas now I couldn't tell you how much my rotation costs, and I'm very embarrassed by it. Half marathon in 2022. I was on the heavier side, shall we say, at the end of 2021 into 2022, and I had got a lot of weight off me. It was just under 20 kilo, I think, in about 3 or 4 months. Went on 2 holidays, decided that I was in fine shape, so I didn't need to try and run anymore, and I limped home to a 2:17 half. The initial goal, I think, was 2 hours, so it was still probably not the paces that I can run now, but at 2:17, I was happy enough getting away with that, given the lack of training I put in it. I think the half marathon, you still need to put a lot of respect and effort in for that distance, or you are going to struggle. Towards the last 5 or 6 killing it. That was probably the race that made me the runner that I'm now anyway, in terms of going, right, you actually, if you want to do this, you're going to have to do it properly and be consistent, and kind of push me on, because I didn't want to I wanted to keep the weight off me, obviously, but I never wanted to feel like that in a race ever again. And that then pushed me on forward. After that, I think I'd done at least double the distance just training wise after the half marathon I had the build up to it that year. So last year, I actually just go back on my experience of 2022. I left the house by myself, went to the race by myself, ran by myself, went home by myself, and that for me was the biggest thing from 2023 that I found is the community started. I think Ryan started press play, started speaking to people like that. Me and Abby had started kind of running together and things. Met Bob, and even take away the difference in my time in the marathon. The biggest thing for me, the takeaway for last year, was meeting everybody, the community, and the experience that I had for it. And I think that having the support of people around about you is what changes the experience of your days. Take injuries aside that you might have, you might walk away with a bad injury, hopefully not, but the experience is being with people around you at the start and the finish of that, and it's unparalleled for me. So last year was a 3:32, which I have no complaints about last year. I did struggle towards the end, but I think that was more so getting to grips with the distance. I hadn't done it before. And it was a learning curve in terms of even who I am and how deep I can dig when it comes to it, and how much work I still needed to do to get where I want to be in terms of time wise. I don't think I've been quiet or shy about saying that I have goals, and I'm quite happy to put them out there and do whatever it takes to meet them, and that'll forever continue. But
we'll get that later.
Yeah, but the main point for me in terms of my experience EMF is the difference between throughout the years is the not running with anybody to then having last year and then this year, then we're going to have a decent wee crowd, everybody on the, you know, for the half and the full races, meeting everybody before and after. I think that for me is what I would sell anybody the experience would be last year for me.
You enjoyed all those races that you did, or was it a work in progress to get to actually enjoying it? Like you said at the end,
2017 and 2018, I can't even remember them, mate, to be honest. They're an absolute blur. I wouldn't have enjoyed them. They would have just been done for the sake of raising money, which at that point in time was a lot of my focus was on raising money. People have probably seen my stories about cancer and my pals and stuff like that on Instagram before. And in terms of 2022, I did enjoy it because it sounds strange to say it, but the fact that it gave me a wee kick up the arse. They say, right, you need to, if you want to be half decent at this or do yourself justice, you can't just, you know, rock up to half marathons and think that you're going to get away with it, just regardless of how much weight you lose or regardless of how fit you think you are in your head. If you've not done the training, there's a reason why people give out training plans. There's a reason why people think you should run certain distances before you go and do, especially these half marathons and marathons. You need to be prepared for them because they will come back and bite you.
definitely. So you've been through it all, right? Super Speedster, Raby, coming to you, mate. Talk to us.
How'd you follow that up? Me personally,
you should just start by saying I ran sub 3.
That's how you be at.
I mean,
to be honest, see myself, right? See myself. Was never a runner, but I remember this got taken on his back. Right? I remember being an 18-year-old in our local pub, and one of my childhood friends, his dad came in and he's like, "I'm running the Edinburgh Marathon tomorrow." Never heard it before, and I was like, next day, I remember he had finished the marathon, he came into the pub and he got carried into the pub, right? He could not walk, he was completely done. And even back then, I was like, I want to do that. I've always wanted to do it. But obviously, I never had a love for running, it just disappeared. So, like Jason, you said, it was lockdown for me, obviously, getting to running, pushed myself. Then it was every month in lockdown, I just kept the distances and my speed was getting better and improving, and I was really happy with it. So for me, when it comes to the EMF, I signed up for the virtual COVID lockdown Edinburgh Marathon Festival. I signed up for that, and I'm just making sure when that came about, we could see more people, because I'm sure it was either 4 or 6. But anyway, I remember running the marathon along the canal to Broxburn Bings, then back to my brother's house at Mutland Road, and him and his partner had a wee celebration for me, and it was like 3 hours 38. First ever marathon, the first time I've ever done something that distance, and I was blown. There's actually a footage I'll need to get and send it in the chat. I collapsed in the pavement, and I'm out for I'm shaking the lot. I was like, I'll never run ever again. But Jason, I've got to give him credit. He came to push me. We got in contact after that, and he pushed me. I said, sign up to more events. He was getting me in the park runs and other runs, and that's when my love for running came. So, as an event, the EMF last year was one of my first ever runs. So, like, again, we signed up for it. Didn't know what to expect. Turned up on the day, amazing day. And yeah, 259. That's all I can say. To be fair, it was that. Not being big-headed to that. I didn't think I had it in me, even though my biggest supporter, Jason, at the time, was like, "Listen, you've got to potentially do it," and the buzz was unbelievable. Like, I absolutely loved it.
This is the one thing with AB, that 2 weeks before any race, he'll sit and tell me this random time he's picked it anywhere, and I'm just like, that's not true. Like, can you just go and run as fast as you know you can run? He's like, "Oh, I didn't can. They're like, you might come across as confident and stuff like that, and he can, but by the way, he knows his own ability. But I think sometimes he doubts that it's really him that's running these times, and I think I'm much the same. So I'm wanting to smash it this year for that.
Well, we had all of that before Manchester, did we not? So no, I'm going to do 320, 330, and then he was on a 250 pace until he decided to walk in a 305. Like,
The only guy I know that can walk to get his breath because he's got a sore rib and then still smash an absolute ridiculous pace.
I walked 6 times and got a 306.
We hate you.
No, see, be fair, like Jason saying that spot on, like, I'm my worst critic. Like, honestly, I think what goes through my head on a daily basis is, head, Emily, on a daily basis is, yeah, I can't put myself down. I tell myself I'm not going to reach things, I'm not going to get things. My partner's like,
No tanned enough.
Sorry?
No tanned enough.
Right, I've got 2 to get before Sunday. No, no, but
Stand up only.
Stand up only.
Oh, right. Okay, the rules.
those
Some people go for a lie down sunbed and get injured.
Oh.
Did you not hear this, Emily? That's
Oh,
the
is
way
this when you got locked in or something?
No. So I think that story's for another time.
I think you've already covered it as well. I think
There's a reel up. I'm
Aye,
talking about how he hurt himself. Yeah, there's a reel of how he
Okay.
hurt himself. Like just
Excellent.
before.
I feel like I probably
So
do
you-
know. Maybe you told me in that Saturday run. No,
I
just
think I
hated
did, Emily. I think I did. But yeah. So for the marathon for me last year, like, it was unbelievable. Like from start to finish. I've been a bit critical of the route, but it was unbelievable. And obviously crossing the finish line, and there was a laddie, Jake, as I crossed it, I couldn't be blacked out for 10 minutes, and he was like, "Oh, they shouted your name." Even McCracken got like just under the 3 hour mark, and even that like was buzzing like for weeks and months after. Like, it was just unbelievable. What a feeling.
So do you think you would still have enjoyed it that much if you never got that time you did? Because I know you're driven and you're fast, and that's like a thing. Do you think
Aye.
you would like it that much if you weren't, or if you didn't get that time that you think you should get?
Definitely. I didn't even think I had that time in me last year. Like, I remember coming along the road towards, I think we'll cover later on, parallel to the race course, and a young laddie nudged me. He was like, "Listen, if we pick it up, we'll get sub 3. And I was blown. I was like, "No chance." He was like, come with me. And 2, he came to pick me up. The laddie was like, "Let's go for it." So we just put the foot down and went for it. So back last year, loved it. Didn't think I was going to sub 3, but loved every bit.
I think I remembered that last year. I don't think you thought you were on for sub 3, and I probably
No.
wouldn't have imagined, because of the amount of races that you had done. We hadn't done a great deal at that point, had we? And
No, there wasn't much. No.
you never really had anything to kind of gauge yourself against, like the half marathons that you do now, obviously. So I would 100%. But what you're saying about blacking out at the end, just going back to like the first marathon experience and first time of doing the distance, I can't remember 10-15 minutes after it. The only thing I remember is him running about with his phone out, going live on Instagram, running, shouting about sub 3. That's the only thing I remember. Then seeing Bob at the bags, and that's about it for about 10-15 minutes until I kind of sat down and gathered my composure, especially with the heat. I would say to everybody, be prepared for after it. Have your food and stuff like that ready, and your drinks ready.
I just must not try hard enough. I can remember everything at the end.
Jimmy, just to touch on last year, Jimmy, as well. So this is how I knew I didn't think I was going to get sub 3. So last year, my brother, his partner, and my brother's partner said to them, "I went, the race starts at 10. Come for 3.5 hours. 3:20, 3:30. Come for then the finish line. You'll see me crossing over." I remember finishing, getting my medal, get my T-shirt, blacked out, genuinely lay on the grass and blacked out on my own at the end. I remember a girl saying, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm fine." I got up and I walked back to the finish line, and there's my brother and his partner sitting looking at the finish line. I've tapped him on the shoulder, and he's like, "You're here?" I was like, "Aye." I was like, "Please tell me you got a video." He's like, "No, we've just arrived." I was human. I was gutted. So Tara's going to make sure, even though I've got goals for this year, I think she'll be there a little bit on the earlier side so she can have the phone out ready for me. Fingers crossed.
Good. Mr. Burrow, up to you, mate.
So 2016 was my second marathon. That was like a month after I managed to get a charity place for Edinburgh the month before. I was on a charity year for outside of Scotland, so I was doing Tough Mudders and anything and everything. I was signing up before my first born arrived, thinking after this I'll calm down, I'll stop doing races, but obviously that never happened. Wife believed me at the time. But the experience I had at London of running the first marathon was just the effort, the pain, that kind of stuff. I was like, I cannot have that again at Edinburgh. I just couldn't handle it. So I managed to, it was all about just having a pace and sticking to it. So I think I just spent 4 hours 40 looking at my watch, making sure it didn't go too fast or too slow. So I feel like I didn't really experience it. It was just a kind of tick. It was just a done. And then I never done another one until I think it was 2019 I was signed up, but it was the COVID one. Whatever happened, I ended up having to do the virtual. And I don't know what you guys think about virtual races, but they can get in the bin. Absolutely get in the bin. But I done it as part of so it was a woman in my street, my friend Kelly. She might be doing Amsterdam. Never got it, so it was not the Amsterdam. We'd done it on the canal, right from Auckland to the Kelpies and back. My days, that's a boring route. Don't recommend that one, but it does work out. Perfect marathon. So that's that. And last year, as we touched on, I was ambassador for the race, and I was actually looking for the medals there. So I got my 2016 medal and I got my 2020 medal. I was like, where's last year's medal? I was there last year, where's my medal? And I was hunting all over the place until it clicked on me. I never even bloody finished it last year. Last year was a DNF. I was fuming. That was just where I came on the call there. Where's my bloody medal? Looked everywhere for it. Yeah.
I think if you need it, Abby's got it there if you want to see it.
It's actually one of the better Edinburgh Marathon medals. I like that one.
Bob, see we done the virtual in 2020. What was your time for that? Sorry.
Oh, it was I think the elapsed time, not the elapsed time, would have been like 4 hours 50 or something. But because it was for charity, we were meeting people on the route.
All right.
To money and all that kind of stuff. So it was a stop start. So I think like if you were, it was a sub 4. I think if you were to stop the clock, but that's not how we run races. We know that.
No,
but
you can't claim PBs in non-race events.
Slow it out. I'm here for this.
Friendly chat.
Unless you've got a chip time.
Yeah, we've had that. And it is your chip time, you don't go, but my Strava clicked about 20 minutes earlier, so I'm taking that. Nah, mate, doesn't happen.
I've never had a marathon time then, even though I've done like, I don't know.
No, because for me,
marathon distances.
For me, because you've done say a 50k, if you've done if you've got a marathon split within a 50k, I would personally class that as my marathon PB. You've never done a road marathon yet, which you would expect to probably go far quicker, well not far quicker than your 50k. You know, your 42k within that. But I would still say that if I were you, I would say you've got a marathon PB time. Because it's all relative to the distances you're doing. You could try and beat your marathon time within your next ultra, like what Mike done at Perth.
Did you see what happened to me? But look what happened to him after that.
I've got full confidence you wouldn't be as silly as that wee sausage. You know what I mean?
I mean, let's go hard or go home. There, he's sitting at the top there. Look,
he's on a sponsored silence today, by the way. Speaking about Mike, we'll come to you, Mike. And your EMF experiences?
None.
Well, thanks for coming, mate.
Right, okay. Right.
Nice chat. See you later. And that's the podcast. But no,
is it a reason, Mike, you've never done it?
I've signed up before. I was signed up in 2014, a long time ago. Again, kind of like Bob, I first started with Tough Mudders and stuff. Did a 17.5 mile the next year. Was absolutely an awful experience, so I thought a marathon sounds good. Why wouldn't you? But no, I injured myself because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing at all, and just never. I think I kind of fell out of running for a good few years until 2018. So I just never signed up, and after that, just kind of went more to ultras than anything. That and the logistics. Even now, I'm still trying to work out logistically what I'm going to be doing with where I'm parking, getting to the start line, getting to the finish line. So I'll probably be firing a few messages out like, where the fuck am I going? I don't know. Like,
that's me.
I was hoping you'd have the answers.
No, I'm relying on Jace and Zoe to help me on Saturday and Sunday.
I've been asking Jace, but he keeps trying to get me to stay over the night. Like,
nah,
Bob's not after last time.
Bob's already got the right side of the bed.
Top and tail.
The sofa's big enough. I know.
Mike was here the last time. He never jumped in the bed with me, so.
Who's not been on Jason's
You'd have been noticed on your bedpost, that you're saying?
Yeah. No, it's on the whiteboard.
The whiteboard's clean.
So
The
moving
bench
this
is on.
conversation on
Right.
then before it gets
Move
any
on.
worse.
Yeah, move on.
Mike, the sign up then the packs and the information that you've obviously not read if you still don't know what we're doing. You talk it through it.
No, well, I had a look at the pack before the pod to see if I could understand what I was doing. No, to be fair, like sign up wise, I mean, I've not signed up for the other big city marathons, but from an ultra background, especially, it's a lot easier signing up for these things than your ultras where you need to go through your mandatory kit. Pretty straightforward. But one thing I did realize, I think as we spoke about pricing, in 2014, it cost £53. So considering how expensive everything in life has got, it's only gone up by £15 in 10 years, which is not bad for what you get. I know, obviously, there's a lot of grumbling about the route. Is it Edinburgh, as you say, or East Lothian? But for the amount of stuff you get for that, for the finisher's t-shirt added in, which isn't always, that's an optional extra in a few events. You've got baggage handling from the start to the finish, kind of medals and all sorts, and a lot of water stations as well, which kind of floored me, which we'll get to afterwards. But
I mean,
But
that
yeah,
in
for-
case, if you think what they could have put that up, if they really wanted to, in line with some of these other races, I mean, you're at like about, there's some half marathons at the minute. What's it, the Falkirk half marathon, I think was one, was it like £38, was it? Or 38 quid for like the Kelpies half marathon and stuff like that. So the fact they've only bumped theirs up by that amount's like,
considering they're saying it's
we're fighting
the,
them.
after London, it's the second biggest marathon in the UK.
Yep.
So with closed roads, that amount of participants, £68 not bad for a pricing for a big marathon like this, I think.
I think it draws people as well because is it no it's one of the flattest and quickest, isn't it? So for those people that are looking for a race where they can get a time or that time that might get them to other races, this is the one.
It's net downhill.
This is the one they want to be coming to.
I think the main gripe with the route for people with people from Edinburgh is the fact that there's so much more better that you can see. Is the route in itself is actually a decent route in terms of the speed of the course. It's just the case that it could be a whole lot better with if it was inner city.
You'd like it to be more like London and like the London landmarks half and stuff. There's so many things, especially considering it's the capital city of Scotland, the amount of things that are around there.
Yeah, I think as well because where you finish, like I say, not being from the area, there's that logistics. Like London's obviously a huge marathon and it's got a completely different transport system, whereas a lot of these big races in other cities in the UK, the transport doesn't always support the amount of people that will be there on the day, the runners and the supporters. So it's just sometimes just seems such a headache when you go, because I already know I'll finish at like 10 o'clock and I'll be there all day because it just gets to the point there's no point leaving because I'll just be walking more, really.
But everything else on sign up. So, get your number through the post. Again, from an ultra perspective, not having to go in at stupid o'clock in the morning, pick up a race number from some desk in the pouring rain. It's always nice to have. And I noticed as well, kind of the fact that they've got whole sections on spectator support for those that do want to go. So kind of the best parts to watch and everything else en route. But the one thing that it is missing, I think both Manchester and London was an expo. So I've never actually been to an expo. So how much of a loss is that to this event not having an expo up here?
I've never been to one either, but me personally, if there was one there on Friday or Saturday, I 100% would be at that. And especially, Emily's coming through on Saturday. We're going to spend a bit of time together before the race, and I would have loved for us to have something like that to go to. And I think the amount of tourism that Edinburgh brings in, I think it would be something else for the tourists to go and see, and the money that would generate again for the city. I don't think it'd be a bad idea. It's not the case that they don't have anywhere to put these things on. The Dynamic Earth does actually have an event on Saturday if you want to collect your. It's not an event, sorry. If you need to collect your bib, if you're overseas, if you've lost your bib, they also have stands for the charities. But there's nothing else other than that. You know, the merchandise. We're complaining about the T-shirts. You see the merchandise that people are buying in London, and the money that people will be spending on that. If they had a company, New Balance, Adidas, Nike sponsoring it, they don't have anybody. They don't, you know, for it to be the second biggest marathon in the UK, they're saying, if that's correct, they don't have a brand sponsor, then they're doing something wrong. Even by the way, the organisers doing it wrong by not making enough money. If that is the case, because
I think expos are obviously on the up just now, but it's also a Scottish bank holiday. So actually they are missing, people could be going through for the weekend, so they could be missing just that extra bit of buzz around the event and actually getting people to come and see I think the other races are on the Saturday.
Yeah.
So it would actually create more of probably a buzz around that. And even people doing like a shakeout run on the Saturday, like could be much more arranged, or people could do the 5K as part of their shakeout run that way. You know, it's just an additional, make it more of a weekend rather than just race. There's just a bit more community side.
The same as the ambassadorships, I think it's just a lost kind of opportunity that they've got. I mean, they've got the screening of the Kipchoge film going on, but that's what, £30 at Dominion Cinema. And the main thing from that is, there's a 30-minute kind of seminar by the GB Olympic team lead psychologist, and you do get some merch with that, but again, 30 quid for something you can stream off Amazon Prime. Are you really going to fork out for that?
I can't see it. I think the opportunity would be good because I'm not going to start dropping names of companies, but we all know plenty of good Scottish sports companies, running companies, whether it's sunglasses, hats, t-shirts, whatever. They could have stalls. We don't have to go and pick up the number, but somewhere you can go, they can have stalls, and they could even put like EMF stuff together in a special limited edition hat or something. You would go and buy stuff. Do you know what I mean? You would. If you're in the area, there's all these kind of things. You just see we're missing the trick. But does it need it? Probably not. If it did have it, it would be good. It would be a great re-edition, I think, if they did have it.
I think one thing that they're also missing as well is pacers.
Yeah.
I don't know, did they have them at Manchester, AB?
Yeah, they had 2 hours, 45 minutes. There was 2 pacers per section.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely they should have that in Edinburgh.
I mean, the only city marathon I've done was Stirling in 2019, and even that had pacers, even though they weren't quite as good. Kind of almost ruined my race. But the fact that there's no pacers for something of this size as well.
I'm sure even the pens that were in last year, because Ryan in Press Play, he was down for a faster time than me. Yeah, I set off before him, and then he had to overtake me later on. I was like, he shouldn't have to be waiting through the runners.
I think the way
they made that error. Sorry.
On you go, mate.
No, I'm saying they made that error again this year, Bob, because a friend of mine, he's gone for like 2:45, 2:50, and he's in the red pen, whereas I put in 3 hours down, and I'm in the white pen. So a couple of people have passed comment on that. I find it quite strange.
Last year, what they done is it was like the white, then the green or the yellow. But you were straight on AB still, and I was in the side bit. I got put in the side bit, and mine had to merge in once the white and then the red had went. So it was like people would have just been going, "Oh bugger that! I'm not going in there." People would have just jumped in the opposite ones, or just stayed in the red instead of the yellow or green, whatever it was. I don't know why they kind of just put it right round, because it already goes all the way back round to the other side of Potter Row anyway. But they must have a reason for it. But I think for me, a pacer last year, if there had been a 3:30 pacer last year, I think I could have hung on them and go under 3:30, and that probably for me would have been one of the goals. If I knew there'd been a pacer, I would have set out for that.
I hadn't realised there was no pacers. No. I know I should really read the stuff beforehand, but I think because the first year I did it, I was just kind of going along for a jolly. So I wasn't really noticing. But I'm just thinking, I was a pacer last year at the Great Scottish Run, and you think there's like the Glasgow equivalent of the half marathon, and they all had pacers for that and the 10K. I just think there's probably a lot of races now that like people expect it.
Yeah.
Especially for a longer distance.
It's 'cause
I
it's
think
just...
for
Sorry, mate, on you go.
I think for a race that they're also saying, you know, with the net downhill and one of the fastest marathons as well, people are going to go for times. That's kind of the whole point. That's the only reason why I would really do a city marathon, aside from kind of running it with a friend, is to purposefully hit a time. I wouldn't really kind of get any other reason from it. So
Because it changes everything. It's like for a person who's maybe not familiar with marathons or never done them, and it's that whole you take off too quick or you go too slow every minute. You're looking at your watch for your pace. If you get in with a group, I think like Jace said it when he did his that 5K, and you got your time. Like you get in that group and you just float along with them. You're not concentrating on anything else bar yourself and your breathing and everything else, and you're just sticking with that guy. And it, like the miles just go by, whereas if you're yourself checking your watch, checking this, checking that, like it takes the focus off your actual ability to go and run that pace.
One of my memories for last year was AB was in a group, even I think it was maybe 5 or 6 people on the, you won't know, sorry, Jimmy, when you go along Nidri, you come back against each other, so you're facing each other opposite direction.
I've heard about that wee bit.
And AB was in a group of maybe 5 or 6 people, maybe not even on purpose working together, but everybody kind of my time group was maybe in like 1s and 2s dotted out. If 10 people are just put in together and go, right, oh, by the way, are you, if somebody said, are you going for a 3:30, for example, and actually just grouped in together, it would have been a far better experience for everybody. But I don't know how many people at that, for the further back kind of times, actually are aware of how much running a group can actually help you. In terms of meeting a goal for you. And that was the one thing I remember last year is for me this year is I'm going to try and get myself in a group or even speak to people around about me and say, look, even 5, 10, 15 in, what time are you going for? Can we kind of group in together if I can manage to get a conversation going with people?
Jason, I think Manchester, I think it was 2021 I done Manchester. I was a lot further than what I am just now. I remember my watch was playing up and throwing up all sorts of paces I was running, so I was running far too fast and I blew up. Then I remember the 3:15 pacer passed me. I was like, yeah, it's okay, it's fine. As long as the 3:30 pacer passed me. I was like, oh no. And then the 3:45 guys like that, bringing me in, and he passed me as well. And it was like somebody battering you over the head every time with a big flag, man.
I do get that as well, actually. If you start,
don't you dare! Oh man, it's the way.
Imagine that'd be soul destroying if your legs went and you just seen all your dreams going past you in a big flag.
Well, I was telling when we went out running in Edinburgh, Abby, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, or maybe it was you I told. And when I was a pacer at Glasgow, I passed somebody and they literally looked at me and went, oh, F off. Like, I thought I'd be faster than you. I was like, up yours, mate. I'm like, well, move it. Move your
I'd be terrible at pacing. Pacing must be hard. Like, I'd be absolutely shite at it.
Could you imagine Mike's pacing? 3 hours 30, and they're like, why are we running at 2.5 minute mile speed here for the first 4 minutes? You worry, son.
Thanks an hour.
You should have seen the faces on some of the lead runners that I was running with the first few laps of the 100K when they're running for an 8-hour time and I'm running for an 11-hour time. Like, what are you doing here? Well, until I die, we'll just go with that. But nah, I couldn't pace at all. Can't pace myself, let alone anyone else. But one thing it does have though is plenty of water stops. Again, from somebody that's used to going 20 miles without seeing another human, like 9 water stops and 5 gel stations, I think, on the course. Not one of them has pizza. That's disappointing.
Afterwards.
Bloody ultra runners.
You'll see me stealing picnic baskets off the side.
I would just stick in there that for context on it, the half marathon doesn't have 9 and 5. It'll have, I think, 7 and 4 or something.
This is the marathon.
They've got slightly less on the marathon on the half marathon course.
So do you just obviously you're saying jails and that, do you just grab them off a table or grab them off people in the passing?
People just hold it up like that, and you just grab them off them.
I mean,
You just like
and,
get them in a headlock, Jimmy, and just like give me your
For
jails.
those
Just a
unspotted,
PR.
Jace just held his hand out there with a jail.
No, well, I spoke.
do
No,
Yeah.
so the one thing as well, though, I would say about the gels is they have a caffeine offering and they have a normal offering. So if you've got sensitive stomach, then please be careful with what you're taking because it's not very clear. They'll just stand with their hand out and offer you it, and you need to ask them if you don't take caffeine on a run. Me personally, I wouldn't. My stomach would go, and also I don't like the spike in my heart rate if I take them. So just be aware of that, people, that you will have both offerings.
I'm liking this hand action you've got going on here.
But
Yeah.
see, like going back to that point that Mike made earlier with the cost and stuff. I mean, the fact they're giving like, is it 30,000 people run it or something like that? Jails if they want or
But-
whatever. I mean, like, and there's no, I mean, that's a cost as well because, like Michael tell you, we spoke about it last time. That fling was £100, and you got absolutely. Well, you got cola or water. You got nothing. you packed your own food.
They
You get
actually,
prosecco at the end.
so the
my
partner with High Five, Jimmy, with the nutrition, the partnered with High Five. So either High Five are doing that for purely advertisement purposes, or they're getting paid to do it from the entry fee. And this is going back to kind of what we're saying about the merchandise and stuff like that. If they've got a nutritional partner, they could easily have, I've done Seville half marathon. I've got a Hoka t-shirt. If one of the companies picked it up and done it, you could have a lot better experience overall with the t-shirts and everything. I think they need to do better in that respect on it.
So from the gel and checkpoints, going on to the route, Jason.
Oh, this is me, isn't it?
Aye.
The obviously on the Sunday you've got the half marathon and the full marathon, and I think we'll more cover them than the 5 or 10k, obviously, but the races are on the Saturday. So you've got your half marathon is an 8 o'clock start, and the full is a 10 a.m. start. If anybody is looking for any information on it, I would really suggest that you go and have a look at your My Running account and look at the event info packs on there. They are very good. They have a lot of information. There is also a spectator pack that will give you a lot of information that I know I touched on earlier on. People may not know where the areas are, but they'll give you street names, and you can obviously go on Google Maps and have a look and see how close you can get on the day with buses. Lothian Buses websites is always very good as well for a journey planner. Lothian Buses is, I think, actually officially the best bus operator in the UK, or it was recently. So you will get really, really good transport on the day for the buses. Getting into Edinburgh now, if you are coming from the west, we'll just go with the majority of people are going to be coming from the west, or at least the central belt. If you can get yourself into Waverley Station, you'll be able to get buses to both sides of the start area. Again, Lothian Buses and the trams. The trams will take you into the Mound or Princess Street, and it's walkable from there. What I did notice though is the half marathon, the trains won't get you in time for the half marathon. I think the first train comes in Edinburgh from Glasgow about 8:30. So obviously that's going to be too late for that. So your best option is probably driving into Edinburgh. If you find an area in EH11 or EH14 postcode, you will find plenty free parking, and you will be able to plan a journey from there on the bus or the tram. The buses start at about 5:30 in the morning. It is probably for me the easiest way to get in there, but then you do have the bit of a travel back from Musselburgh. Again, it is easy to do the travel back from Musselburgh on the bus, but it will take you some time to do that. Is anybody, any of you's got any questions in terms of, from your side of things, not being from Edinburgh, that you'd like answered?
Aye, so is the park and ride a viable option?
The park and ride, if you're going to Ingliston, or no, Riccarton. Maybe what's the one at Riccarton? Is it Riccarton? You want to hear it walk?
Yeah.
Hear it walk. Then you will be able to get the bus in. The buses will bring you into the town, and to me, the buses are your safest option. The buses are very rarely late. They're never called off. and they are very, very regular. And there's so many different buses you can get into the town from all the different
34, 34, 35, James.
yeah. And the one thing that you can't get into is Wallingford. You can't drive into Wallingford Park and Ride for Musselburgh at the end. So don't anybody try and do that and then get yourself back in Edinburgh in the morning, because you will be late. The parking rides are really good for the fact that you get obviously long stay parking. Then you get 2 days, even if you wanted to. If you were staying in Edinburgh or Musselburgh for the night and you parked out there. But for me, a lot the easiest thing for people to do would be to get some of the free parking in EH11 or EH14, plenty of it, and then get yourself the bus or the tram in. It will be the least stressful option for me if you're happy to have a bit of travel on the way back in from Musselburgh. It might take you an hour on the bus, but you don't have the concern about parking running out or getting charged £20 for parking. And if anybody wants to get in contact with me to run by me your plans for travel, my DMs are open. If you've got my phone number, text me and I'll make sure that you get there.
I'll put your number in the description, Jace.
Just slide into Jace's DMs, guys. If you want
DMs
some
are
travel
prepared.
advice.
No voice notes.
Only video notes. No comments.
Also, we will also be doing the meetup for the marathon, which we mentioned previously. We'll posted a couple of stories on Instagram about that. I think me and Bob will be around for the half marathon to watch everybody go off. Then we'll make our way around to Nicholson Square Gardens. It is close to all the bag drops, so you'll be able to get your bag in before or after, or even during the meetup, and come back and see everybody, then walk round to the start areas. And we'll put more on Instagram about that throughout the weekend, I think, Bob, anyway, won't we? Just to keep it ticking over. And everybody is welcome. If you are worried about coming by yourself before having spoken to any of us, give me, Bob, AB, Mike a DM, and we'll come and grab you somewhere separately, so you're not walking over a big crowd. I've got no problem doing that for anybody either. Your bag drop is dependent on the colour of your bib. So you've got Nicholson Square is the top club, white, red, yellow and green. Crichton Street is orange and blue, and George Square North is pink and black. Now, again, they're just random street names I've gave you. Just stick them in Google Maps and it will tell you the best way to get to them. And there is also a very good detailed route map of the start area on your My Running account as well. So I would point people towards that. Bob, can we link in the description or something? Or it's me that posts this anyway, so I'll put it in the description.
You have my permission to post it, aye.
Also, there will be delays. So if you are in the pink and the black and probably the blue pens, then you will maybe have about a 20-minute wait from the gun going off to the to getting through the start line, especially in the marathon. The half marathon might not be as bad. I'm not sure how many are in the marathon, but certainly last year I was looking at one of my friends who done it, and they were 20 minutes from the gun time to actually getting through the start. So just be aware for toilet needs, being warm, depending on if it's wet, anything like that. Bring a poncho just to then put in the bin before you go, because you may have a bit of a wait before you get through the actual start line and your clock starts ticking for you. There is also toilets available at each of the different areas. I said Nicholson Square, opposite Crichton Street, and George Square North. There is 3 or 4 different toilet options that have been mentioned on the the event info pack. And the start location is Potter Row, which, if nobody knows, is just off the Meadows and the city centre. So it is easily accessible, again, from the buses, from the trams, if you plan it properly. And if anybody does have any questions, please get in contact before the day, and I'll try my best to make sure you can get there and understand the directions.
Cheers, Jace. So as you say, it starts in Potter Row. I'm just going to now run through a brief route description of all the places we go. Feel free to chip in if there's any bits that you particularly like or dislike as I'm going along. So in Potter Row, I didn't know that was the grounds for Edinburgh Uni. This is not an Edinburgh boy. I don't know if any of you guys actually went to Edinburgh. I'm being cheeky.
I got asked here.
In the Union. Head along and turns right, you'll see Greyfriars Bobby. Try not to rub his nose as you go by, of course, you some valuable time. And then we head by, I can remember Edinburgh Castle on my left. Jace disagrees with me, saying you can't see Edinburgh Castle. I'm sure when
you can see it.
The galleries, it's there on your left.
You can not. It's on your left, but you're not running past it. It's what I meant.
For us tourists, if the Edinburgh Castle is just on your left, you're running by Edinburgh Castle.
If you're looking at the castle and you're running down that mound, then you're not doing it right, because you should be flying down there as fast as possible.
Okay, ski the marathon, something that it's in Edinburgh that runs by the castle. Come on. So then you run by the galleries, into Princes Street Gardens, along by the Scott Monument, also known as the Gothic Rocket. Heading towards the Old Town, Royal Mile, and we're down by the Parliament and the Salisbury Crags. Is that what they call them?
Who calls it the Gothic Rocket? Wikipedia or something?
Wikipedia calls it the Gothic Rocket.
Abby, you heard that before?
Never, no.
Maybe the people that went to Edinburgh Uni call it the Gothic Rocket.
Possibly. Possibly.
None of them are for Edinburgh either. So.
No, so that's bit Salisbury Crags. It's a bugbear of mine.
It's Arthur Seat, mate. It's
On a route,
it's Arthur Seat.
having a bloody cone in the middle of the road that you need to run round.
Oh,
Just
fat.
me. That rips my knitting. That's just poor. But anyway, that's a little bit congested down there. In my opinion, I found it quite tight. And don't stress out if you're trying to hit paces and stuff like that. Just let it be what it'll be, and then it opens out once you get by that. That's my bit of advice for down there. But guys, with cones on your course, do better for about turns. And that's when it heads to the coast. And this is where I know some people have issues with it leaving the city. However, if you want a flat, faster course, I think this is where it has to go, in my opinion. If it was going to stay in the city, you would have a lot of people moaning that it's too hilly and not fast enough. I know you guys have got an idea of a better route they could do, but I don't think it would be as flat and as fast as this, which is what they sell the Edinburgh Marathon on quite a lot, in my opinion. So we had Portobello, which is Lee Campbell's favourite point. He said he enjoys having the cat and dog home on your right and the beach to your left.
This is where the treaties also start. This is where they start handing out the Haribos and the jelly sweets and stuff like that. So this is where it starts getting good.
Yeah, it is nice. As Emily said, it's always sunny and you're hitting the beach, loving life. The crowds are come back at this point. Really good. But it's also, I think it's where you start working, where you try to start hitting your paces and that. Now we're off the downhill. Let's get going. So we head out to Musselburgh, which is Stuart Rowan's favourite section. He hasn't mentioned if it's on the way out or on the way back, but to be fair, both are pretty special with the crowds going through there. That's the kind of hairs going to back your neck go up, and lots of cheer squads and things like that there. That's really good. Out to Preston Grange, which is where the half marathon out turns. Again, I'm sure it's a cone turn.
Yep.
I could be wrong.
I hadn't realised there was a turn, and I was like, oh, I was hoping for a straight in finish.
No, I'm sure you head out and it's a beautiful cone turn. But the full marathon continues out. You've got Preston Pans, you've got Cockenzie, got Port Seaton, which is a nice caravan site next to the power station, I believe. Beautiful spot at Long Nidri. This is where the crowd gets a bit thin.
Yep.
I was thinking about earlier about why it gets thin, but I think it's actually difficult to get there.
Yeah, there's no. Well, that is the main road down there to get you into Gullen and like Dunbar, North Berwick and stuff like that. So the only way from there is up on the bypass, up at kind of Meadow Mill Sports Centre, where the Scottish Half Marathon starts. But you can't get down that road either. From it, they shut that off. So I think everybody obviously just goes back along towards Port Seaton and Musselburgh, because you couldn't, even if you went there to cheer first, there'd be no way of you getting back because the road's closed.
Correct.
Fair
Because that
play
was
to
when
see-
information. On you go,
Well,
baby.
see in Sands, the caravan park, fair play to them, like all their characters came out and there was a big crowd
Oh,
there.
I remember.
That was
That's fair,
so
fair.
good. Like, I think they come out and
I
give
never
you a
noticed
lift.
that.
See when you need a lift, they give you a lift.
Mm.
You're a bit down because it's a bit quieter, but you hit Port Receipt at the caravan park. It's so fun and it's enjoyable and it does lift you. Fair play to them
Who
for
was-
all coming out.
Who came out? Because I can't remember that.
No,
There
like
was a
Bradley
creature,
Bear.
like,
Really?
there was a creature like Michael a wee bit. Like,
Oh.
It's not very nice.
I was joking, but
'Cause when the information came out about the where to go to support, I always thought they should be promoting more out that end. Like,
Yeah.
as we're going to get on to like Gosford House, cheer squads out there, bands and stuff like that. You could have all sorts in that wee area where it needs it. I think, as we all agree, we need it. I think it's because it's a marathon. I think at this point it does get tough no matter what the route's like. And I think just because it's quiet and it's tough, people associate, I hate this part of the route. I think it's just the part.
I remember, sorry, Bob. I remember like doing that. See the Great North Run. There was like bits, there's bits where it is less support because they're on like a main road and people can't really get there. But they would have these like power up zones, and then it was like I think it must have been like sponsors out, and they would have the music blaring. They would have, they would have somebody like on a microphone like shouting, but it was a kind of uplifting point because it was like you haven't seen anybody for a while, you won't see anybody for a little while, and it just kind of picked you up a little bit because you're like, oh, there's something else to listen to or focus on. So I think it would be good to have something down there, but I think it's just where it is the problem.
Yeah, I think it would be good. Even if you were heading towards it and you started hearing like the booming music and stuff like that, you'd be like, right. Because in my head, it's when you come out of there, that's like out of Gosford House, that you're heading home now. Let's just start digging in. But I know Luke, Runshine on Leaf, he wasn't a fan. He thought that the Gosford House bit was a bit dusty and stony. Nikki said she wasn't a fan, but then she missed a lot of it being sick in bushes, which she wouldn't have had on any other part of the section. So I need to pick.
Oh, poor Nikki.
I know.
I love
be-
that bit. Can I just
there'll
say that was
be-
my favourite bit of the Edinburgh Marathon?
There'll be a few people that have bought brand new trainers for the marathon that will end up with stones, especially if you've got alpha flies or vapor flies on, will end up with stones inside their shoes. And if you're not prepared for that eventuality, then I would think you would be very annoyed. So I don't.
But there's a lot of babies running marathons these days. I mean, what's a stone in a shoe? Just take it off, take the stone out. Come on.
If you pay £280 for a pair of shoes and a stone goes into the foam,
I don't pay that.
well, I do. So that's not a thing that I want when I run a road marathon to go and run on. What do you call it? Dirt track, gravel track. I
Was it
don't-
that
Find
bad?
that bad.
We call it God's tracks, Mike, eh? Those kind of roads with stones and dust and dirt, mate.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best
God's
road.
path.
No, when you're wearing carbon shoes. But you got a stone in yours last year as well, did you know?
I got one lodged in as well. It was horrible. Emily, what
Oh,
did
we
you
still get
enjoy
sub
with
3.
Gosford?
I was saying, got a stone in my shoe. I had to stop for
Stone in my
5
shoe.
minutes.
Black too.
Emily, what did you enjoy with Gosford House?
Do you know what it was?
Favourite part?
For me, it broke it up. Like, it was just monotonous road for a long period. Like Bob's saying, after you get by the caravan park, there's really nothing. And all you can see is everybody coming back. It was particularly hot. And then we just arrived here, and I'm like, this beautiful house appears, and you run through something just really, really nice. And you were like, oh, that was just like a little bit of goodness before you come back onto a road and just power back through the same road that you've been on. So I like a bit of like something different to look at, and I just think after a little while that route could get a bit monotonous. So I just thought it was nice.
And that's maybe some of the ultra runner side of you that kind of does some of these events for the peace and quiet. That's why I sign up for events, for no people being there.
I do need to shout out that you do run by Gosford House. You have to run by it first and go around the cone.
Around the cone. I think the cone was invented in Edinburgh, Bob. I think that's what it is.
I think somebody's on commission.
Imagine somebody
Commission
just
for the
moved
cone.
the cone. Imagine they just moved the cone.
Just put it on statues and then we'll be
Yeah.
fine. That's how we do it.
See the section that's not got much of a crowd and is a bit monotonous. Is that in the miles where folk will naturally start to find it hard anyway? So
Yeah,
that just
it's like badly
kinda add-
timed in a way.
aye,
Yeah.
aye, that's not great.
But I wouldn't fancy doing the route in reverse either. So
No,
no, I think that'd be hellish.
we're all in agreement there.
We're just all whinging, money bastards.
Pretty much. We're Scottish.
But once we come out of Gosford, that's when the buzz starts. We start heading back to Musselburgh. I think that's one of JC's favourite parts.
I love it. I love it. That's when you just come up that final we climb from. It's not the Pans. The final we climb anyway. You get past the roundabout and then you start at the racecourse bit, and then that's when the atmosphere and the crowd really ramp up, and then the final turn in to the playing fields is I've never had anything like it in my life in terms of the hairs standing up at the back of your neck, people banging barriers, keeping everybody to the side. It's just something else, and I can't wait for it. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. Like that's I don't know if anybody visualizes anything here, but I certainly do, and that's my whole thing on Sunday is the thought of getting it started. The middle bit is really not even in my mind. It's just a case of get the head down and go for it. But then the end of it is having that. And if you're coming in with a PB and you've got people rattling the board, shouting your name, people maybe seeing you, then it makes the whole thing worth it.
I think in any event, having people at that finish line, it's that finish line adrenaline really that kind of makes that you remember more than anything else.
Exactly.
That's how
Yeah.
Maybe, do you want to take us through the finish then, in the finish area?
Well, to be fair, I think Jason was looking at my notes about what he said there, but
Whoops. I got too excited.
Aye, a little bit. So me personally,
There's no.
the Lever Hall Arms is the pub at the end of Musselburgh. So when you come around that roundabout, before you come round the roundabout, you hear and feel that crowd. I don't care what end it is. I've had achievements and celebrations in the past, but I swear, for any first timer doing the marathon, when you turn that roundabout and you see that crowd, the hair will stand up in the back of your neck. Like it's your goosebumps. It's the best feeling ever. Running along that road parallel to the race course, it's unbelievable. You're talking 5, 6 deep, possibly. Like Jay said, people are screaming you. People who don't even know you screaming your name. It gives you that lift to go for it. And like, again, as Jay said, as you turn left into the pinky playing fields, all you hear is people banging the boards and
going B.
Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this after our run last week.
I know.
But human. But no, as soon as you go that any pinky playing fields and you open up the legs and you see that finish line, all I can say to anybody is smile, enjoy it, because you'll look back at that video, that photo for weeks and months to come, and the achievement you've done is unbelievable. It's what a feeling. You cross the finish line and you've literally got a 10-second walk, and one of the amazing volunteers are putting a medal around your neck. You're looking, there we go. Last year's medal, MD listening, lifting last year's medal up. When you get that around your neck, it's just you're buzzing. Your chest just goes out. You're delighted. Again, you've got another small walk, and then you're collecting your finisher's t-shirt. You get a bag of goodies. You got a gel in them. You get an oat bar, a couple of bits and bobs, and it's unbelievable. So, like I was saying earlier on, when you come out the finishers enclosure, as we'll call it, everything's grouped in together. It's so close. It's brilliant. After doing Manchester, the logistics of things were terrible afterwards, and I've criticised Edinburgh a little bit, but the afterwards is second to none. Everything's just there. It's brilliant. Over to your left hand side, you've got you can go and collect your baggage, and there is it the meet-up point, Jason. We had a chat about this.
Reunion areas, all them.
Reunion area, yeah. So the reunion area, what we would say is you'll not get much phone signal afterwards. I think our runs are loaded onto Strava about 2 hours after the race, so you'll get no signal whatsoever. So what I would do is pre-plan any family members, loved ones coming, friends. Maybe get one of the letters. All the letters are flagged in advance. Think your letter, share it with your friends and family, and that's where I advise you to meet after you finished the marathon, because it's really handy for all getting together afterwards.
The one thing I would say for the letters, I was having a look at it. They've not actually publicised anywhere what the letters are. If it's A to F, if it's A to Z, I don't think it'd be A to Z. It's not a big enough place for it. But they've not put that anywhere that I can find, so people can obviously say to people beforehand, I'll go to see to find it. Which there's maybe just been a wee mistake in the printing or something. But I would have thought they would have been clear, or even on the route map, what that was.
Maybe one of our
See,
ambassadors can
last
maybe
year,
look that out.
yeah. See, last year in your medals, did you get the little clip that you can put on like a key ring that says 26.2?
Yeah.
So, don't know if anybody else noticed this, but when I got mine, obviously because they're sitting together and they clink. See, when we were walking back to the bus, I don't know if I was just tired and cranky, but like, see that little tink, 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 tink the whole time, and you think about people that are wearing a medal at this point, it was really annoying. Just saying. Take it off.
So like I was saying, definitely try and pre-plan a meeting point, because as you know, it's the second biggest marathon and everybody's got a blue t-shirt on and you're not going to find anybody. So definitely look in advance.
There's also, if you don't want to have a pint at one of or wait for the queues at the beer stalls, there is a shop, an off license, 800 meters along the road. I think we done that last year. Maybe we just went and got an off license, a carry out, and they're absolutely fine with you doing that and taking that in, and obviously sitting at your reunion area. And there is massages on offer too if you've been running for charity. Just in case anybody didn't know that, most of the charity stalls have a massage table that you can pop in if you have been raising funds for them.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's where you get the festival vibes of it as well, because there was like a couple of singers, right? There's a choir and some singers, Jason, wasn't there, afterwards last year?
I remember that, mate. I'm not sure.
We're standing next to them. It's in the real video that you made. So anyway, there were singers.
Must have been a good carry you've got, eh?
I was chatting.
Oh no! In fact, I do remember that now. I do remember that. Sorry, I think that was for one of the charities. Aye.
Yeah, so you've got singers and that. So if it's a nice day, like Jason said, a carry out. I don't know what you call it in Glasgow, but yeah, carry out. It's get a seat and just enjoy it. We sat there for hours. A carry out. There we go.
Carry it.
So we sat there for hours afterwards, and again, just everyone talking about their stories of the day, and time just flew by. It was amazing. What a cracking day.
There's also showers available for anybody that wants them.
Yeah, right enough.
Nice one. Jimmy, do you want to take us through our host goals then?
Just before we round up, yep. So a couple of weeks ago, we spoke and we had a laugh about everybody braving it and putting on their goals or their times or whatever up here, fronting it for everybody. So we'll go through everybody again. Emily, we will come to you first if you're happy doing it. I know you've been posting on your social media and stuff, but for anybody that doesn't know or hasn't seen it, do you want to tell them what your goal is for the half?
Sure. Well, my goal is to hopefully get under 2 hours. Whether or not that'll happen, I don't know. But kind of touching on what Jace had said earlier about, the very first time I did Edinburgh, I just went by myself and I left by myself and I just sat in the field by myself, all that kind of stuff. I'm more looking forward to actually spending time with people this weekend. So if I got this up to, that would be amazing, but it wouldn't ruin the day, I don't think, for me, because I think actually spending time with people and all these like great folk and cheering folk on in the marathon will just be worth it as well. So yeah, but hopefully, you never know.
You've had it before, though. You've had it before, haven't you?
I've had it before, but quite a while ago, so I've not had it. But I've not really raced a half marathon since before lockdown. I've done the pacing for the Great Scottish Run. I was 2 hours 15 for that. And I've done, obviously marathons and things, but you're not obviously thinking about your half time at that point. So who knows? I mean, I've been training, but I feel I've been training forever, really.
Are you planning on running with anybody in particular, Emily? Is there a group he is, or how are you working that?
No, I don't think so. I think because lots of people have had injuries and things, and other people have been training for marathons and doing the Edinburgh as like a kind of tail off from that. So I don't think anybody wants to go, I'll pace you for definite. Ian, I had offered at the start, but then obviously he got injured. So I think he's still running. I'm not sure,
I
but
think he's
he would.
running, but sub 2 would be far too spicy for him.
Yeah. So, but to be honest, I'd be quite happy. I don't mind spicy. I don't mind doing it by myself, like as in myself anyway. I'll probably find someone. I know people that are running it, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Excellent.
I'll put it out in the gram, see if anybody wants to pace me.
I'm sure somebody will.
Although I find that a lot of pressure, though. Like you need to fit. I mean, that's the thing. Where if you did that with one person pacing, it's different than a general pace for a race. They're just doing their bit. They're volunteers, but see that I would feel the urge to always speak to them because I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're spending like 2 hours with me. I should entertain you and tell you something funny and talk." Whereas at that pace, I would just need to like really knuckle down and just concentrate. And I think I'd feel guilty for that other person. So I think I'll just have my time on my watch and do it. My friend did Copenhagen and she just put the lap screen on her watch and she was like, it was so much easier. It reminded me just run that mile you're in and just take it from there. So I think that's what I'll do.
Excellent.
Good. Jace, coming to you next. You've got what 3:32 to better if you want.
3:32 is the PB. I will be going out at 3:16 pace. That's what my Coros's gave me for the plan. That's what's predicting I can do. I've got a wee niggle that I've got there, but I'll be going out, and if the niggle makes me by choice slow down or just the fact that I can't do anything better, then it'll just revert back to 3:20ish, and after that it's PB if it's under 3:32, and that's due to the fact I've had a niggle. So be it. I'll be absolutely over the moon with everything given the circumstances that's in. I've got a marathon again in 6 weeks after this anyway. So if this doesn't go to plan, I'm mentally prepared that it's what it is. Control the controllables, and we'll go again in a few weeks' time after that. But the initial plan is the 3:16.
Good. That's pacey. Abe, we'll get your predicted time, and then after it, we'll jump back to Jace, who will tell us what you'll actually run it in. So if I go
That is a good
first, Abe.
idea. That's a great idea, by the way.
So we'll go Abe first.
So with me, excuse me, I've like Jay said about getting in a group. I've got two boys, a boy on Instagram, Andrew Kennedy, and a boy from work, Aidan McCann. They're both looking to get 2:55 or just under. So listen, I didn't pace. I didn't look at my watch. I just see the beeps, have a look. My goal is to just try and stick on their coattails and run my race, really. I don't look into it as much as Jace and other people. That's just not me. That's not the way I do things. I just go out, move my legs, and just hope for the best at times. So I think Andrew's looking at 250 and Aidan's 255. So if I can put them in my sights and they're in front of me at the finish line and not much in front of me, I'm getting a PB. To beat two. So last year I got 259, which again, like I said, I'm absolutely delighted with. If I can get anything off that, I would be over the moon, ecstatic. But if it doesn't happen today, I beat myself up in Manchester when I got 306. I was kind of, he was doing, I was a bit disappointed. So I'm not going to let it happen to myself again. If I don't get my PB, I'm going to enjoy the race.
Good.
Yes, correct.
Jace, what do you think he's going to get?
2:54. 2:54. We had a
There we
discussion
go.
earlier. We had a discussion earlier on, and I showed him the difference in his kilometre splits from Manchester and Edinburgh last year, and they are ridiculous. The first 26k, he done every single kilometre faster than 4:09, which was his Edinburgh. Quicker than his Edinburgh split overall average pace. So he needs to calm it down a bit, and then just let it go naturally, and not try and go too spicy. 2:54 is my prediction though for Mr. McCracken.
Bob?
Well, my Edinburgh course PB is 4 hours 40. So, no, I think my fitness isn't where I'd like it to be just now. But I think if I can get under 3:35, I'd be over the moon. I just need this one to be a strong run. I'll be happy. Don't blow up. Don't suffer too much. Just have a good strong run and something to build on. That's what I'm aiming for.
Do you not think that as well, that everybody's kind of in that boat, like when you go and run something, the fling couple of weeks ago and on that, you could train for another year, and it's that thing before the event. You always think I've just not done enough. I've just not done it. Like I've not put the work in. But when you actually look back, like you're out all the time. You're consistent. You're doing bits. You know what I mean? I think everybody has that in them anyway, where you think, nah, I've just not done enough. I'm not going to do this, and you'll probably find that you'll be fine come race day. In a minute that
you have
goes,
to remember you get what, a 5% boost or whatever it is from that race day adrenaline, and then you've got the crowds on top of that. So you're naturally gonna do better than those long training runs you've done when you're tired in that block. You're now tapered down with that race day adrenaline. You'll be fine.
I think it's you need to obviously think about you're looking at things in terms of, just using Bob as an example, your course PB is 440, so you have, you know, a crazy amount of improvement kind of off the bat anyway, as long as you manage it through the race. And that's, even though for my side of things, if you'd asked me 10 weeks ago if I would have been happy with a 330, I would have said no. But now, if I get a 330 because of the circumstance and the training and potentially how the conditions are going to be on the course, I'll take 330 all day, and there'll be thousands of people running that day that would be happy with a 330. So it needs to be taken into context that it's not going to be perfect every single race. There's always another one. That's never going to be anybody's last marathon. It's never going to be anybody's last half marathon. The work's done now, and what will happen at the weekend happens. And just make sure it doesn't spoil the rest of your day after it, is what I would say to anybody. If you don't meet your targets, still enjoy the day, go away and work harder.
Absolutely.
Last but not
Mike,
least,
you've got a different. Mike's got a different kind of.
Yeah, I don't have a goal time for this, because I'm running it to get a friend through to her first marathon, and kind of the distance for me is more a training run on the journey to other things as well. So no, just enjoy the day. Just a nice wee training run for me.
Does your friend have a time?
No, just don't die.
Marathon friends.
Well, she's got the right guy to help her out if she does.
That was smooth.
Aye, and moving on.
Mike is very smooth.
So it'll be interesting to come back and see where we are with these. But also brave to put them out there, because a lot of people will keep that to themselves.
If I did
case
though,
they fail,
if I was racing this for me, then I would probably go for a 330. I'll just say that. If it was kind of my own race, that's where I think I'd go for marathon wise.
But in that 330, you'd want a 5k PB and a 10k PB and a half marathon PB, wouldn't you?
I'd get those. I'd maybe get 335, but I'd get 3 PBs before it. That's fine.
I think as well, we've not really spoke about anybody else in the community's goals this for these two races, but I think we're going to give everybody a wee shout out that we know that's running it on the socials over the next few days in the lead up to the race. I think if we'd started mentioning other people's goals, we would have been here probably all day, and we've obviously had a lot to cover ourselves as well.
Absolutely. Well, I just like to wrap up then. I'm going to thank Mike, Jimmy, AB, Jace, and of course the lovely Emily. Thanks, guys, and good luck on Sunday, apart from Jimmy, who's not running. But good luck no matter what you do on Sunday, Jimmy. I'm sure you'll be brilliant at it.
I'm thinking about coming through to see Lee Campbell to CISO.
Very good, very good.
They'll be a good cheer squad. You'll have a good laugh with them.
Oh, absolutely. But no matter which EMF event you're running, the work's done and the hay is in the barn. This is the time to focus on the positives from your training block and get yourself ready for the big day. Shut out all the negatives and remember your why. It's okay to feel nervous about the challenge ahead. The best goal should scare you. You're about to take yourself to the start line of Scotland's biggest running festival. Get to the start area and soak up all the energy and unbelievable support from the runners around you. Absorb every cheer and shout of your name. Take all the high fives and smile away every mile. Use everything you can to make yourself an absolute warrior out there on the course. You've got this. Go do yourself proud. and we'll see you in the next review show. EMF 2024. Let's go.